The British Council, in association with the Jamaica Teaching Council, presents Boys in Education Week.
Now, the 4 elements of parenting: nurturance, structure, recognition, and empowerment. Now, nurturance teaches a child to accept care. Now, structure involves setting boundaries and guidelines. Then you move on to the 3rd element of parenting, which is recognition. Recognize that your child is a person. And the last one is empowerment. Empowerment is a sense of personal control with the ability to affect the behavior of others.
I never argued with my wife in front of them. That was a golden rule. Do not argue in front of the boys. My son, he reminded me the other day, I picked up my sons from St. Hugh's one afternoon, driving home, and taxi driver bad drive me, and I let him have a few choice words. Sons behind me, totally forgot they were behind me in the car. My wife is driving at them. Taxi driver did the same thing. Guess what? They let out a few choice words. Learned my lesson. If for whatever reason Daddy is not around, find a male figure early who can help to set the foundation in their early life, because when they hit high school, it's too late.
We heard some great examples of how we as fathers particularly have to show that example to our children. The one I use is reading. Do they see you read? Do they see you read the newspaper? Do they see you read a book? Do you read? I try to read to my children. I have one daughter and one son. You know, I try to read to them every night. It was a time of the day that I loved.
Being good in any sport requires a number of core skills. It requires team building, it requires leadership, it requires problem solving, it also requires a lot of analytical thinking.
The story of my life is this. I grew up in an eastern community called Rasta Lane in 8 Miles Bull Bay. Financially, it was challenging, but I think a big part of the problem I had growing up was not having many positive male role models. And it's typical for boys who grew up in those sort of settings, in the garrison or ghetto communities, right? When you look around, you don't see many examples of what we consider to be positive or constructive to society. What does it mean to be a man in Jamaican society? And you get all versions of that when you look around the community. Yeah? You have the pants down way down here, right? Man fi have enough gal and gal na bungle, right? Man a gallus. You're too soft. Man up. What does that mean? Right? So, for a lot of our young men, you can imagine they live in a state of confusion because they're getting all sorts of messages about what it means to be a man. I think every parent wants their child to do well, right? And you have to sort of show them that you expect them to do well. You know, when you have that expectation of them, it makes it easier for them to feel comfortable doing what they do. If they're playing football, right, and they're on the Manning Cup team, you know, take the time out to support them at their matches.
And so, pay attention to what your child loves. When they get excited and look happy, what are they doing? And you know what that will help you to do? Engage them in conversation.
Absent fathers, now I don't mean that in the sense of the one that's just not even there, not even in the country. I mean absence can mean lots of things. It can be that the absence is a negotiated one in the sense that the father isn't there physically, but you know, has some kind of link. There's a continuum of absence really in a sense, but what is the best way to re-engage maybe those fathers or to bring them to a point where they can have some relationship with their sons.
If you live with a stepfather, parents, please, it is not your point of duty, and the father may not necessarily be supporting the child. The child is coming, you know. The child will know. But when you speak negatively about their father, they are hurting about it, and they hurt deeply. And if you have a spouse, don't you ever fool yourself that that man can take the place of their father.
I will leave you with the 3 R's. First one, at school every day when you go home, you review everything you do that day, same day. Same day, if you have 5 lessons, 5 classes, you have 5 reviews. That's not homework, you know. That's just your regular review. Homework is a different thing. The second R is repetition. Anything you're good at anywhere, you need repetitions. If you learn to drive, the more you learn to drive, the better you can drive. As a matter of fact, when you get your license and go on the road, you just start learning to drive. The last R is read ahead. It's a big secret. If you read ahead of what is coming in the next class, it's going to be easier for you to learn.
The British Council, in association with the Jamaica Teaching Council, presents Boys in Education Week.